stop because I won't be able to stop. I won't be able to stop unless I stop now. Wicked. It's what everybody is talking about. And you know what? I went to a used bookstore and I looked at that bargain cart and I said, $2? Thank you. I'll take it. I even left the fucking tag on it. Because look, it's the poster of the musical, of the stage production. Now, I don't like when books remarket themselves with the adaptation on the cover, but in this case, I'm fine with it. Because you know what also is in the inside? You're not ready. You're not ready. Photos from the production. That's right. And there's even, to make it even more authentic, that this is used. Ready? Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Something fell. Oh, it happens to be a page that was torn out. That was still preserved in there. Fabulous. The wizard and I. And the bookseller said to me, she saw me and she said, you know, we have newer copies of that if you want. I know she's trying to upsell me because it's a used bookstore, but they have new books too. She said to me, let me show it to you. Brings me all the way to the back of the damn store. Shows me the new copies. I'm like, it's fine. Doesn't have this cover. Doesn't even have the one that I'm familiar with. I don't know what kind of cover it was. It was not correct. I looked at it and I said, son of a witch, I think I got the best copy in this place. So I decided to stick with my $2 purchase, and that's exactly what I did. I got 4 books for $14. I don't know where the 4th one is. I cannot remember what it was or where is it, but it's somewhere around here. Because I know I didn't get just 3 at that place. Because the books were cheap, and I was here for it. Because books have gotten so expensive. If they benefited the authors more, I think I would be down. Well, I would still complain about the price, but I know most of that money is going to the publisher, which I'm like, you know what? It's a business. It's got to work itself. But sometimes it's just irritating. Anyways, this vlog is about all the books that I have gathered together last month in November, because I tried out this cheap-ass camera. I should have known better. I should have known better, but I said, let me give it a chance. This cheap-ass 4K camera from Amazon. And I went around one of the days I was off a week or 2 ago. I went around to little free libraries. I traded some books. I went to the used bookstore, and then I went to the bookstore, the main gig that I love to go to, Romans. And I just accrued all these books that I was sharing throughout my situation, but because the camera is a piece of shit, all the files were corrupted. That's right. It wasn't reading to the card fast enough. The card was weak. It was weak like the Scarecrow, babe. And none of it's usable. It was just skip. It was like, so I got this. I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, they had a couple of good children's finds in the used bookstore. So I got the first in the series of the Chronicles of Narnia of the great Christian author C.S. Lewis, The Magician's Nephew. Didn't know that's what it was called. But love that. I love the size of this. I love the size of this. This is going to be a fun read. Oh, she's got illustrations too. Perfect. I don't remember how much this was. I think it was, $7. There we go. Okay, a bargain. You know what's an even better bargain? A Monster Calls by Ness. This is a book that my girl Talia had brought into work, and I said, okay, never heard of that. And this was marked down to, I want to say like $4. $4. And it's because there's some highlights, there's some notes, but it's not a big deal because this is a hardcover book. Okay, she's about to float away for $4. So I purchased that. It doesn't even have the dust cover. I don't give a fuck. This art is so cool. So those are 3 things that I got from the used bookstore. I've yet to read Wicked. but I did start watching a video about it, and I don't know if I'm ready to dive into all of that lore. It's very fresh at the moment with the movie and all. Of course, we saw it opening night with my sisters, because that's necessary, and we're going to do it next year too with my cousin Ryan as well. So let's move on. Let us move on. Since I was running around town that day, let me tell you about my little free library adventures. A couple I picked were random. A couple I picked had announcements and cute photos. Some I was disappointed by. I can't take you through the entire journey right now because I vlogged it all in real time, and it was fucked up. And now my car's misfiring. So even she cannot take the journey back. But let me just go through what I got. The first one that I stopped at was a fabulous situation that I appreciated. It's one that I pass on the way to get coffee all the time. But I said, let me pull over and see what they got. They had a couple of good moments. Now this one, you're going to be shook by, but I had to. First of all, I followed the rules. I took out 4 books from my library that I wasn't going to read again or wasn't going to read, quite frankly. All nonfiction, self-help, kind of things I didn't care about, wasn't going to read. So I decided to let them go. And that's okay. All right. One of them was Start, which I had already read. Another was something about going viral. Whatever. If I'm going to go viral, I'm going to go viral. I'm so tired of trying to figure out a formula and do all that. I'm not doing it. So I traded one of those for this crazy ass book, A Mind of Its Own, The Cultural History of the Penis. And here we've got some art. We've got the penis outlined with the O. And I'm here for it. This is a really strange shape. As you can see, it's not in the shape of a normal book. I don't know what she's trying to do here. And hopefully this is actually good. I know it's going to be informative, but is it going to be a read that I can get through easily? It's about 300 pages, so I am not sure. But, girl, from the artwork alone, I had to get it. I had to get it. I had to purchase, and I did. Wait, I didn't purchase. I traded. Let's get things correct here. We'll get to the purchases later. Next, I went to this really cool little free library in someone's yard that they had built. Out of stone, baby. And they put a roof on it. It was so cute. The announcement said that it had mostly children's books because it was near a school. But honestly, it had a good amount of books of everything. I'm about to go back there, okay? Because they had children's books on the bottom shelf, but they had adult books on the top, and I appreciated that. We got The Cartographers by Peng Shepard, who wrote the Book of M. It even has... This is the iconic thing about living in a city with a famous bookstore, because sometimes they'll end up at little free libraries around the town for free. This book was $19.99. Someone purchased this from Vroman's. It's got the Vroman's price tag on it still. Now, I don't know if that means that they read it and didn't like it, so they put it away. But I think, in all honesty, I don't even know if anyone's read this. The spine looks barely worn. Like, she's been thrown around, but the pages look like they haven't been touched. So I think someone just, their TBR was too long and they said, I can't. And so they tossed it out. But this is about a young woman who is a cartographer, which is very niche. Her father is her personal hero. He's also a legend in the field. But when her dad is found dead in his office at the New York Public Library, there's a map hidden in his desk, and she can't resist but investigate. So we've got a mystery, we've got a woman protagonist, we've got a thriller, and honestly, this is so cool that this was in a little free library. So that's the first one I got. Next I got, in that same library, which is so cool, The Town of Babylon by Alejandro Varela. Listen, she is, that's right, a National Book Award finalist. A hardback, flap still on, baby. No price tag, but I don't think this one has been touched either. Wow, okay. So this sounds really cool. So, and the art is fucking sick. When his father falls ill, Andres, a professor... Let's start that again. When his father falls ill, Andres, a professor... Am I okay? When his father falls ill, Andres, a professor of public health, returns home, reevaluating a rocky marriage in the wake of his husband's infidelity. And with little else to do, he decides to attend his 20-year high school reunion. I was just talking about this in another review. It was of Bury Your Gaze. Anyways, where he encounters his long-lost friends of his youth. Jeremy, Andres' first love, is now married with 2 children after having been incarcerated and recovering from addiction. Paul, whom Andres has long suspected of having killed a man in a homophobic attack, is now an evangelical minister and father of 5. Oh shit, this book is tea. And Simone, Andres' best friend, is in a psychiatric institution following a diagnosis of schizophrenia. During this brief visit home, Andres confronts these relationships, the death of his brother, and the many sacrifices their parents made to offer them a better life. That sounds like a fucking banger to me. Oh my god. No, I cannot read this next. Because, you know, I'm up in the queue for the next book. I just finished Bury Your Gaze the other day. And I started reading Outline by Rachel Cusk, while also reading Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri. I'm also reading Why We Read. And it's just a lot, Shannon Reed. It's just a lot of things at once, but I know I need to hone in. But Interpreter of Maladies has a bunch of short stories. I've been reading one each evening, and it's short, so blah, 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 whatever. But this makes me want to read this right now. And I have several books checked out of the library that I need to get to first. I'm just saying. And I may have to return a couple, because I don't think I can do all this. This I need to get to. I got this lame... I'm sorry. I don't know if it's a lame book, but it's lame from the outside. And I absolutely am judging the book by its cover because it's not a good one. I'll show you a picture of it because I took a picture of it. I also took pictures of all of my Little Free Library finds. Anyways, I found this book about murder with a cringy photoshopped picture from 1992 on the front that is by an author that's a little too close to J.D. Vance, that I said, you know what, I'm going to just take it. I gave a book, took that one, and I said, I'm going to figure out a way to trade this out. And eventually I did, because when I got to Romans, I realized there's a Little Free Library in front of Romans, went to that, and I got Rap Capital, The Atlanta Story by Joe Coscarelli. And he is a music journalist who is following the rise of several rappers coming out of Atlanta. And I think this is going to be a very interesting nonfiction read. I haven't read much nonfiction recently, but I think this is going to be really sick. This must have been, because she's got the mark, it must have been something that went on sale at Romans, and it's like one of the last copies that they just weren't able to sell. And they were just trying to make room for something else. I don't know. So this is not read, but I'm interested. I am interested. And yesterday when we had stopped by Romans, because I cannot go there without buying something, this time I only bought a pastry. I just peeked at the Little Free Library and it had The Prophets in it. So if I can get back there today, I will trade a book for The Prophets. That follows 2 men in love on a plantation trying to survive. I'm ready for that. So if I can make it back there today and get it, I will. Now let's talk about a friend lend. Okay, not this book, but this book, it's everything, okay? It's a 5-star. It's the book that got me back into reading at the beginning of October, and I haven't been able to stop reading since. Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. If you haven't read it, it's so fucking good. It's so good. It's a retelling of Achilles and Patroclus, their love affair, their fight in the Trojan War, and ultimately their demise. Okay? I'm not spoiling anything because this is a tale that's fucking thousands of years old. It's Greek mythology, and it's so, so beautiful. I want to go back through and just highlight all the quotes. I wrote a lot of quotes down because her prose is just stunning. Anyways, this is not a review of the Song of Achilles. It doesn't need any more praise. But all of that to say, I wanted to get the Song of Achilles to a queer friend of mine for his birthday. I was talking about it with him. He hadn't read it yet. And then I planned to go over to their house one day, so I stopped by Roman's, picked up a copy, and on the way there, I realized that I had talked to his partner, my friend, and that his partner had read it. So it most likely was in their library. So I left it in the car, went inside, realized they had a copy, and said, girl, I gotta return it. But while I was there, in their library is Lolita. Listen, controversial, absolutely. But this was a personal recommendation from my friend Clint, so he let me borrow it, and I'm going to read it. Listen, I don't know when it's supposed to go back to him, but I will renew the loan if I need to. So, as of right now, it's 3 weeks. In that vein, you know, since she's on a queer kick, because obviously I'm queer, so I want to read queer stories, baby. This was recommended by quite a few people, but the first person to recommend it to me is my girl Talia, who is my book buddy, baby. We have been keeping each other accountable, reading back to back to back to back, letting each other know how it's going, what we're doing. Our reading comprehension has improved over the past 2 months, which is an obvious result of reading, but just not something I realized. Like, I can read so much easier now. This is The New Life by Tom Crewe. Now, don't come for me, okay? Because I was going to return the Song of Achilles. But I went into Romans thinking, girl, you're delusional. You know you're not about to get that and get the full refund on your card. You're going to exchange it for something else. So I said to myself in my head, if I can go in there and find this book easily, which is not so easy in a bookstore, then I'm going to get it. I went to fiction. I went to the C's. There it is. I'm getting it. I grabbed it and I exchanged it. So I returned the Song of Achilles because my girls already had it. I exchanged it for this, and of course, this one was $18. Song of Achilles was $17.99. I owed 1 cent. Johnny B said, here's a penny right here. Put it in that drawer, and it was mine. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Those little moments just really restore my faith in humanity and let me know that Grandma is watching over me. Because I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was saying that she's been seeing pennies. And that's not something that I've experienced, but as soon as she said that, this came into my mind. I love it. I love it. This one is about 2 men in the summer of 1894. I know. I don't like books that really are set, or any stories that are set that far back in the past, but I'm going to give it a chance. And I'm glad they updated the cover, because the cover used to be something different, and I really like this. In the summer of what was I just talking about? Let's get it right, Jake. In the summer of 1894, 2 men began writing a book in the defense of homosexuality. At the time, it was a crime in Britain. John Addington and Henry Ellis live in London with their wives, Catherine and Edith, each inhabiting a complex Victorian marriage. John has a lover, a working-class man named Frank, and Edith spends more time with her friend Angelica than she does with her husband. Shortly before John and Henry's book is to be published, Oscar Wilde is arrested. They must decide whether to go on, risking ostracism, imprisonment, and the safety of the people they love, or to give up on the cause they believe in. A powerful, visceral novel about love, sex, and social progress, The New Life asks what each of us must sacrifice to make a better world. Okay. The author has his PhD in 19th century British history from the University University of Cambridge. And he's been an editor at the London Review of Books since 2015. His name is Tom Crewe. He's from England. And I can't wait to read this gay-ass book. We're rounding it out here. I'm going to save my library situation for a separate video, so you can go ahead and watch that one. I'll leave it in the description whenever that gets finished. I'll probably record it today. But I'm going to show you my other purchases. I've been wanting this book for a while because it seems like just a lovely, cozy, short read that has clearly done well because now there's 4 other sequels that have come out. I haven't been able to secure all of them. One night, this was after the election. I don't know if it was that night or the night after or what happened. I'll never forget that day again. I couldn't sleep, so I opened up my Kindle, which is not something that I do often, and started reading this book. So I've already started reading this one, but I wanted to get the hard copy because reading on the Kindle, it's cute and all. It's great for a lot of people, but something that I really, really struggle with. It makes reading in bed very comfortable, very easy, very accessible, but it's just so hard for me to not only open a book on the Kindle, but to finish one. I read one last night, which was a very short story, The Strange Library by Haruki Murakami. I'm not quite sure what to make of that one. I've read Kafka on the Shore, but it was a very long time ago when I was in high school, so I'm gonna read it again. I still have it in my library. But The Strange Library was strange to me as to how that got published. I start reading reviews and people are like, but you know, wow, the symbolism and this and that, and you just really got to read into it. And part of me is like, okay, anybody can write a story and it'll have symbolism. You could just make shit up and say it's symbolism. I don't know, we're gonna have to save this discussion for another day because this has nothing to do with the man. All right, this is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This, if you don't know, you've probably seen this cover around because now there are several different sequels with a cover that's very similar. This is along the lines of a cozy fall read. It's not fall, it's winter, but that's what I'm saying right now, about time travel. This centers around a coffee shop in Japan where you can travel back in time to a moment in your life that you can relive. You cannot change the past, you cannot change the future, you can't even get up from your seat. And you only have until the coffee gets cold. So you better finish it. On the back, we've got Tales from the Cafe, Before Your Memory Fades, Before We Say Goodbye. And there is a 5th one that I can't remember the title of right now, but Toshikazu Kawaguchi's internationally best-selling novel explores the age-old question, what would you change if you could travel back in time? I had to purchase this at Target because it was on sale for $10, and I said absolutely, it was the last copy. There's even a scuff on the situation that I can't get out, but I'm just gonna settle. I was gonna get it at Romans because I support an independent bookstore, but I cannot afford to get multiple books at Romans at once because they're at least $18 each. And in the case of Song of Achilles, it was $17.99. And I can't afford that currently. And because Target is close to Romans, after I was done at Target, I popped over to Romans. And I said I was going to the child section because it's cheap and cute. And I got this as a recommendation from Talia as well, The Little Prince. Yep. She said, we got that. Are you looking for a certain kind of edition? I said, absolutely not. I don't know even what there is. I don't know what it is. But it's a sweet book with illustrations. And I got the thin one because it's the cheapest. Maybe I'll go back and get the photo book at some point. But this is what I got. Really cute. I was not planning on getting anything else. But I went downstairs and I went to the Christmas section and I started looking around. And in between the candles, the bits and the bobs and the tree and the overpriced Santa bust, I found a John Grisham novel. Never read him, but he is a bestseller if I ever heard of one. He is the definition of a New York Times bestseller. He is prolific. He has written and written and written. And when I read the back of this book, I was shook. First of all, it was $10. Love a deal. Second of all, it sounded very familiar. And I said, I think I need to pick this up. Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. I love that the author's name is larger than the actual title of the book. That doesn't even matter. What matters is it's John Grisham, baby. And that's going to sell a lot of copies, I'll tell you that. Imagine a year without Christmas. No crowded malls, no corny... Let me read this. Imagine a year without Christmas. No crowded malls, no corny office parties, no fruitcakes, no unwanted presents. That's just what Luther and Nora Crank have in mind when they decide that just this once, they'll skip the holiday altogether. Crank. Skipping Christmas. Christmas with the Cranks. Oh, that's right. It's a movie with Jamie Lee Curtis as she chases a ham and fights a lady for it until it unfortunately gets crushed in the fucking parking lot. So, listen, it doesn't say this anywhere on this book. It doesn't say now a major motion picture starring Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis. Nowhere. You better stand on your own fucking laurels, John. We've got the snowman up there, the iconic snowman that falls off the roof. I've never bought a book like this, but I said, you know what? The font is big. It's large. It's a strange shape. It's about the same shape as the Narnia book, and I've got to read it. I've got to read it. I have got to read it. Look at all those books by John Grisham. That was just at this moment in time, which was the early 2000s. Yeah, he's busy. Skipping Christmas, the novel, and look at that. Look at that black and white graphic sensation that's happening here. A little bit of snow. A little bit of snow coming down. This was published in 2001, baby. Yep. The gate was packed with weary travelers, most of them standing and huddled along the walls because the meager allotment of plastic chairs had long since been taken. Every plane that came and went held at least 80 passengers, yet the gate had seats for only a few dozen. You better come for the airline industry, Mr. Grisham. There seemed to be 1,000 waiting for the 7 p.m. flight to Miami. They were bundled up and heavily laden, and after fighting the traffic and the check-in and the mobs along the concourse, they were subdued as a whole. It was the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Oh my God, that was literally yesterday. One of the busiest days of the year for air travel, and as they jostled and got pushed farther into the gate, many asked themselves, not for the first time, why exactly they had chosen this day to fly. I'm ready to use and abuse this book and enjoy the power of Christmas. It will compel you. That are all the books that I accrued during the month of September. I bought a couple more. One being Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. If you want to really hear my thoughts on that, you probably don't. I didn't really like it. I'll be completely honest. I liked the cover though. It was pretty cool. I read that. Didn't like it. I also still need to read another purchase that I got in November, Armada by Ernest Cline. I loved Ready Player One, both the book and the movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And they didn't have Ready Player Two at the bookstore at that time. I probably do now, of course. They only had Armada, which is not related to Ready Player One, but it's another sci-fi nerdy tech book, and I am excited to read that. But in the meantime, I need to get through my stack of library books. It's just a lot. I also read Parable of the Sower and All Boys Aren't Blue, both of which I purchased from Octavia's bookshelf. I devoured those immediately at the beginning of November. Fantastic books. Parable of the Sower, it's a lot. I wrote a Substack article about it, so if you want to read my review of it, I don't really spoil. It's just light spoilers. It's not really that big of a deal. I'll put it in the description, because if I make a video on that, I'm just going to keep... There's a lot to digest in that one. Yeah, and I read it right before the election. Such a good idea. I should have just read Parable of the Talents the day after the election. Because why not? It's not like it predicted anything. All right, I need to eat a turkey sandwich with some salt and vinegar chips. And I can also do that while I do my book haul from the library. There's also things on hold that I need to pick up from the library. So that's where I'm at right now. Mahalo for watching. I'll see you next time.